Do you ever sponsor or do you get into deals with other people outside of your current network?
I do. I do
Okay.
sponsor projects. I will tell you, especially in this market right now, I am very picky about the projects that we get involved in. When I say picky, I simply mean, when times are good, if something underwrites is what I would call a double, you're probably okay. When times are struggling a little bit, like we're kind of there right now, I don't mean struggling necessarily where things are a little stale. Things are not, we're not adding, we're not adding 50 to $100 per door for rent on every renewal without any hesitation or doing any upgrades like back in the good old days, 2020, just post COVID, all that, just prior to COVID as well. So we're looking for home runs, and that's what you should be looking for as well. And I'm sure that you're being taught that, but if you're not being taught that, just know that when you stress test a deal, you should be able to take it to 15% overall vacancy. That would be 10% on the physical side, 5% on the economic side, and if you go to 15% and it still underwrites well, you've probably got yourself a triple. All right. And a home run would be a little bit further than that. Would be you could take it to 20% and it still pays its bills. It's not cash flowing, but still pays its bills because there are deals that will go to that 20% occupancy overall between physical and economic. And and you need to be sure that either that A, you've underwritten it to be able to withstand that, and B, in case you haven't been taught this, you're going to want some you're going to need, not want, you're going to need some people on your team that have the wealth, the liquidity to hold down the fort on that property to ride out any storm, whatever that might be. That could be a building that burns to the ground and insurance, maybe coverage wasn't where it should be, and hopefully that's not the case. Your lender will usually make sure that you have the right coverage on insurance. Okay, there's something called Ordinance and Law, and some people call it Ordinance of Law. If you haven't heard that term, you want to write it down. Ordinance and Law, and what that means is if you get a 1984 building that did not need sprinklers and it burns to the ground, well, guess what? 2025, 2026, it's going to need sprinklers. And if that's called the law, the ordinance or law, and if you don't have that coverage, that 30 grand is going to have to come out of your pocket. Now, your lender is very savvy on that. So Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, they're going to require that you have a lot of things in place. So when I shop for insurance, Laura, I make sure that I tell my insurance agent, whoever that is, I want Fannie Mae guidelines to be covered on my quote. Freddie Mac got now. Even if I'm using a local lender, if I'm using it could be a deposit lender, it could be a credit union. They don't have those rules. I'm surprised they don't. But if I didn't have the sophistication to know that I need ordinance of law, I'd have many properties right now that don't have that policy. And if there was a fire and it burnt, I'd be in trouble because it wouldn't cover the sprinklers or whatever it is that you need to do to be compliant for today's standards. I hope that's helpful. I don't even know how I got down that rabbit hole. But the question was,
No, that's actually very helpful because I hadn't heard that before. And I get on, some of these calls and, get some of the coaching and things like that. But I hadn't heard that before. So that's very helpful. So ordinance
fantastic.
and law, and then the guidelines on the insurance up to the Freddie Mac and the Fannie Mae
Yep.
standards.
Please use Freddie Mac guidelines when quoting it. And if they know their game, most of these commercial insurance brokers do, they know that the guidelines literally change quarterly, if not more often. So the guideline, they'll say, well, some of them will ask, and I've had them ask, could you send me the guidelines? It's like, and my response is an immediate one on the email within moments. You don't have the Freddie Mac guidelines? You can't get the latest, because they can. They're being lazy. That tells you a story. they're telling you a story when they say, "Would you provide those for me?" It's like, A, why wouldn't you have those? Number one. B, I'm not going to do your work for you. And C, honestly, you should be up to date on that stuff. So that may not be your
Okay.
guy, is my point there. Yep. Or
Right.
gal. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so
But
much.
yeah, you bet. That's a tidbit that I only learned that. And here's how I learned that. And this is so important because I quoted insurance based upon the seller's insurance. So the seller had insurance in place, and I made the mistake, rookie mistake, of taking their P&L and using their insurance in my underwriting. So, because certainly I'm going to use the same insurance broker that he uses, right? Well, I did. But his lender was a local lender that did not require all these things. And I literally went from, and we're already in contract, and my money's gone hard, right? So my deposit's gone hard. It's non-refundable, only to find out what I had quoted $250 per door. This is a long time ago. I know nobody gets $250 a door now, but it went from $250 to $450 a door. Times 70 doors. That's a big difference every year, right? Yep. And it was already on tight margins. It was already a double, and it turned it into a single until I got the rents up where they belong. So it all worked out. I still have that property today, but it was a hard lesson when I learned Freddie Mac. Oh, you're getting a Freddie Mac loan. Well, you didn't say that. I can't give you the same price as the seller had. He didn't have Freddie Mac guidelines for me to adhere to. So that was a hard lesson learned.